I'm 90 years old, and I made a Social Security claiming mistake that cost me $147,000 over the course of my retirement. I'm not talking about some complicated financial scheme or risky investment that went wrong. I'm talking about a simple decision I made when I turned 62 years old, a decision that millions of Americans make every single year without understanding what it's really costing them. I thought I was being smart by claiming my benefits as soon as I could, but I didn't understand the math, and that misunderstanding has cost me more money than most people save in a lifetime. Let me give you some background so you understand where I'm coming from. I worked for 43 years as an electrician, starting when I was 19 and retiring at 62. I wasn't rich, but I wasn't poor either. I made a decent living, raised 3 kids, owned my home, and thought I had done everything right when it came to planning for retirement. I had a small pension from my union, about $1,500 a month, and I qualified for Social Security benefits of around $2,000 a month if I waited until my full retirement age of 66. But here's where I made the mistake that still haunts me nearly 3 decades later. The moment I realized what I had done wrong came about 10 years into my retirement. I was 72 years old, sitting at my kitchen table with my daughter who works as a financial planner, and she was helping me review my retirement income. She asked me why I had claimed Social Security at 62 instead of waiting, and I gave her the same answer I had convinced myself was true back then. I told her I wanted to get my money while I could, that you never know how long you'll live, and that I didn't trust the government to keep the program solvent if I waited. She got quiet for a moment, then pulled out her calculator and started running numbers. What she showed me that afternoon made my stomach drop. If I had waited just 4 more years until my full retirement age, I would have been receiving about $2,600 per month instead of the $1,500 I was getting. Over those 10 years, that difference of $1,100 every single month had already cost me $132,000 in lost income. And because Social Security payments continue for life and include cost of living adjustments, the gap would only get wider as I got older. Now let me explain exactly what I did wrong and why it seemed like the right decision at the time. When I turned 62 in 1995, I was tired. I had been working with my hands my whole life, climbing ladders, pulling wire, working in hot attics and cold basements, and my body was telling me it was time to stop. My pension would give me $1,500 a month, and Social Security said I could claim benefits of $1,500 a month if I took them right away at 62. $3,000 a month total seemed like enough to live on, especially since my house was paid off. What I didn't understand was that by claiming 4 years early, I was accepting a permanent reduction of about 25% in my monthly benefit. That $2,000 benefit I qualified for at full retirement age got reduced to $1,500, and that reduction wasn't temporary. It was forever. Nobody explained to me that if I could find a way to wait, even just until 66, I would receive that full $2,000 every month for the rest of my life. And if I had waited until 70, using some of my pension to get by, my benefit would have grown to $2,640 per month thanks to delayed retirement credits. But I didn't know any of that because I didn't ask the right questions and I didn't do the math. The true cost of my decision goes far beyond just the numbers I've already shared with you. My daughter and I calculated that over my expected lifetime, assuming I live to 95, I will have lost approximately $147,000 compared to what I would have received if I had simply waited until my full retirement age of 66. Think about that number for a moment. $147,000 was lost because of one decision I made in about 20 minutes at the Social Security office. If I had waited until 70, the loss would be even more staggering, potentially over $230,000 depending on how long I live. But the financial cost is only part of the story. For years in my early 70s, I struggled to make ends meet as inflation ate away at my fixed income. I had to watch my spending carefully, couldn't help my grandchildren with college like I wanted to, and felt constant low-level stress about money that I shouldn't have had to feel. I remember one particular Christmas when I couldn't afford to fly across the country to see my son and his family because airfare had gone up and I just didn't have the extra few $100. That moment of watching them open presents over a video call instead of being there in person, that's a cost no dollar amount can capture. My wife, God rest her soul, spent the last 8 years of her retirement worrying about money when she should have been enjoying the life we had worked so hard to build. All because I thought I was being clever by grabbing my Social Security check as soon as I could. What I should have done, what I'm begging you to do if you're approaching retirement age, is to treat your Social Security claiming decision as one of the most important financial choices of your life. Here's the strategy that would have changed everything for me. First, I should have looked at my total financial picture and asked myself one simple question: can I afford to wait to claim Social Security? In my case, I had that $1,500 pension. If I had cut my spending and lived lean for 4 years, I could have survived on just the pension while letting my Social Security benefit grow by 8% every single year I delayed. By 66, my benefit would have been the full $2,000. By 70, it would have been $2,640. That's an extra $1,140 every month compared to what I actually get. Now, I understand that not everyone can wait, and that's okay. If you have health problems and don't expect to live a long life, claiming early might make sense. If you have no other income and need the money to survive, you have to do what you have to do. But here's what most people don't realize: the break-even point for waiting until full retirement age instead of claiming at 62 is usually around your late 70s or early 80s. If you live beyond that, and many of us do, you come out way ahead by waiting. If you're 62 right now and you're healthy, and you can possibly find a way to wait even just a few more years, you need to run the numbers before you make this decision. Talk to a financial advisor, use the calculators on the Social Security website, understand what you're giving up. Because once you claim, that decision is permanent, and you'll live with the consequences for the rest of your life. The broader money wisdom I've learned from this mistake and from 90 years of living is that financial decisions are not just about the immediate gratification or the short-term comfort. Time is the most powerful force in finance, and most people, especially when they're younger, don't respect that power enough. Compound interest can either work for you or against you, and in the case of Social Security, every year you delay claiming is like getting an 8% guaranteed return on your future income, something you can't find anywhere else in today's market. I've also learned that lifestyle inflation is a silent wealth destroyer. When I was working, every time I got a raise, I found new ways to spend that extra money instead of saving it. If I had lived on a little bit less and invested the difference, I wouldn't have felt so much pressure to claim Social Security early. Fear is another expensive emotion when it comes to money. I was afraid the government would run out of money or that I would die before I got my fair share, and that fear cost me $147,000. The reality is that Social Security is more stable than most people think, and the average life expectancy for someone who makes it to 62 is well into their 80s. Finally, I learned that simple strategies work best. You don't need complicated investments or fancy financial products. You just need to understand the basic math, make decisions based on that math instead of on fear or impatience, and have the discipline to stick with the plan. If you're making this mistake right now, if you're 62 or approaching 62 and you're thinking about claiming Social Security as soon as possible, I need you to stop and really think about what you're doing. If you're in your late 50s or early 60s, you still have time to plan for a delayed claiming strategy. Look at your retirement accounts, look at your savings, look at your pension if you have one, and ask yourself if you can possibly make it work without claiming early. If you're already 62 and you're about to walk into that Social Security office, I'm begging you to wait at least a few weeks and run the numbers first. Calculate what you'll receive at 62 versus what you'll receive at full retirement age versus what you'll receive at 70. Think honestly about your health and your family history of longevity. Ask yourself these specific questions. Do I have other sources of income that could sustain me if I wait? Is my spouse younger than me and could they benefit from a higher survivor benefit if I delay? Am I claiming early just because I'm afraid or impatient, or do I have a legitimate financial need? The answers to these questions could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Here are the specific action steps you need to take right now, today or this week at the latest. First, if you haven't already, create an account on the Social Security Administration website and look at your estimated benefits at different claiming ages. This takes about 15 minutes and costs you nothing. Second, calculate your break-even age using one of the many free calculators available online. You need to know at what age you come out ahead by waiting. Third, review your current retirement savings and income sources to determine if you can afford to delay claiming. Add up everything you have and see if the math works without Social Security for a few years. Fourth, if you're married, understand the implications for your spouse. The higher earner should usually delay as long as possible because that determines the survivor benefit. Fifth, talk to a financial advisor or a Social Security expert about your specific situation. Every person's circumstances are different, and you need personalized advice. Sixth, if you've already claimed early and you're within 12 months of your claiming date, you can withdraw your application, pay back what you've received, and start over. Most people don't know this option exists, but it could save you a fortune if you recently made this mistake. I'm sharing this with you today because I don't want you to spend your retirement years with the same regrets I carry. Despite my mistake, I've found peace in my old age, and I'm grateful for the life I've lived and the family I've raised. The money lessons I learned, even though they were expensive, taught me life lessons about patience, planning, and the importance of understanding the decisions we make. I've learned to live with less and to find happiness in things that don't cost money, and for that I'm actually grateful. But I also know that if I had made the right choice about Social Security, my retirement would have been significantly less stressful, and I could have done more for the people I love. That's why I'm here talking to you now, hoping that my expensive mistake can be your cheap lesson. You have a choice to make, and it's a choice that will affect every single month of your retirement for the rest of your life. You can claim early like I did and accept a permanently reduced benefit, losing potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime, or you can be patient, run the numbers, and make the decision that's truly in your best financial interest. The sooner you educate yourself about this, the better your results will be, because time is the one thing you can't get back once it's gone. I'm 90 years old, and the biggest financial regret of my life is claiming Social Security at 62 instead of waiting. Don't let this be your regret too. If this opened your eyes to the real cost of claiming Social Security early, please share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below and tell me what action you're going to take after watching this. Subscribe to this channel for more hard-earned money wisdom from someone who learned these lessons the expensive way. Time and money are both precious, and the choices you make today will echo through every day of your retirement tomorrow.